The robot stops moving. You're 200 meters away in a truck, watching a screen, and the robot just stopped responding. There's a device in the middle of a road in Kandahar, and the robot that was supposed to deal with it has lost signal, and you have two options. Send another robot, or walk up to it yourself. Your team leader looks at you. You've been ED for 3 years, you've rendered safe 41 devices. You know the protocol, you know the statistics. You know exactly what the device probably is based on the pattern analysis your team ran this morning. You pick up the suit. It weighs 75 pounds. It will not save you if the device is large enough, you know this. Everyone in ED knows this. The suit buys you a chance. That's all it does. You walk toward the device. This is the job. Not the movies, not the ticking clock and the red wire and the blue wire. The actual job. Which is walking towards something alone that everyone else is walking away from, with enough training and enough focus to do it correctly, and then doing it correctly, and then walking back. You are 26 years old, you start walking. Level 1, the candidate. You enlist. Infantry first, because that's how the army works, you do your time. You apply for EOD. The acceptance rate is around 10%. They're not looking for the bravest person in the room. They're looking for the calmest. The selection process takes months. Background checks, psychological evaluations, a battery of technical aptitude tests. The psychologist who interviews you asks the same question 3 different ways. How do you perform under pressure? You tell her the truth, you slow down. She makes a note. You report to the Naval School Explosive Ordnance Disposal in Eglin Air Force Base, Florida. 42 weeks, the longest initial training pipeline of any military specialty. The first phase is dive school. You learn underwater EOD work. Locating mines, clearing harbor approaches. You are not a Navy SEAL. You are not trying to be. You are learning to work in an environment where the device you're dealing with is also trying to kill you in a second way. The second phase is the technical curriculum. Every category of explosive device the military has documented: improvised, military, commercial, foreign, domestic. You learn construction, you learn function, you learn defeat methods. You learn what happens when defeat methods fail and why they fail and how to not let them fail. The failure scenarios are not hypothetical. They come from real incidents. Real technicians, real outcomes. The instructors are direct about this. You are learning from people who didn't come home. You owe them your full attention. The third phase is field application. Render safe procedures on actual devices. In controlled environments first, then less controlled, then environments specifically designed to be as chaotic and ambiguous as the real thing. You graduate, you get the badge, a crab. Everyone calls it the crab. You wear it, and you know what it took, and you know what it means, and you know that the real education starts now. Level 2, the junior technician. You're 23. First duty station. Fort Campbell, Kentucky. You're assigned to a team. Your team leader is a staff sergeant named Kowalski who has 2 deployments and a manner so methodical it initially seems robotic. You realize after 3 weeks that the manner is the point, every step in sequence. Every procedure from memory, no improvisation until you've run the protocol, and the protocol has failed. Improvisation kills junior technicians. Protocol keeps them alive long enough to become senior technicians. Your first real call-out is a suspicious package at a federal building in Nashville. You suit up, you approach, you assess, you identify, you render safe. It's a forgotten lunch bag. The contents are a sandwich and an apple and a thermos of coffee that has been sitting in the August heat for 2 days. Kowalski does not laugh at you for this. He tells you that treating every call as real is why technicians go home. The ones who start assuming things are probably nothing are the ones who get surprised. You deploy to Afghanistan 8 months into your assignment. The IED environment in Kandahar in 2012 is the most complex in the world. Pressure plates, command wire, remote control, victim operated. Devices designed by people who have spent years studying how ED teams respond so they can defeat the response. You clear routes, you respond to post-blast scenes. You analyze devices that didn't function and devices that did. You build pattern recognition that can't be taught in a classroom. In 7 months you render safe 63 devices and respond to 11 post-blast sites. You don't talk about the post-blast sites much, not to anyone outside ED. There isn't language for it that works in civilian conversation. Level 3, the technician. You're 26. Back from your second deployment, senior technician now. The junior guys look at you the way you looked at Kowalski. You've developed the thing that separates good technicians from great ones. It's not courage. Courage is common. It's spatial reasoning under stress. The ability to look at a device and build a complete mental model of it while your heart rate is elevated and your body wants to do something other than stand still and think. You've also developed something else, a specific relationship with risk that doesn't exist in other jobs. You've run the numbers in your own head enough times that you know your odds on any given call aren't as bad as the civilian imagination assumes. ED has a better survival rate than most people think. The training is that good. But the ones who don't survive completely. That math stays with you. You meet a woman named Claire at a friend's wedding. She asks what you do, you tell her. She asks if you're afraid. You tell her the truth. You're afraid of doing it wrong. Not of the device, of making an error. That's the fear that keeps you sharp. She finds this either very interesting or very concerning. You're not sure which. She gives you her number anyway. You call her. Level 4, the team leader. You're 30. Staff sergeant, you have a team. 4 people, their lives run on your judgment. Not in the abstract the way leadership always involves lives, literally. The decisions you make at the render safe point determine whether your team comes home or doesn't. You brief differently than you did when you were junior. More deliberate. More space for questions. Kowalski used to say the technician who asks a stupid question before the call-out is smarter than the one who figures it out downrange. You say this to your team the same way Kowalski said it to you. Your youngest technician is 22. He has the aptitude and the calm and the spatial reasoning, and he's going to be exceptional. He also has the specific overconfidence of someone who hasn't been wrong yet. You watch him carefully, you assign him progressively harder callouts, you debrief him thoroughly after each one. You're building the scar tissue before the field tries to do it for you. You deploy to Iraq. The device environment has changed from Afghanistan. Different construction, different triggers, different defeat approaches. You adapt. That's the other thing ED requires that the selection process tests for. The willingness to throw out what you know and rebuild your understanding when the evidence requires it. Claire is home with your daughter who is 2 years old. You call every Sunday. Your daughter knows your face on a screen better than your face in person for a period of about 14 months. You come home. She doesn't recognize your voice for the first 2 days. She recognizes it on the 3rd day. You don't forget that. Level 5, the Senior NCO. You're 35. Master Sergeant, you're running the ED company now as Senior NCO. You are no longer the person who walks up to the device. You are the person who trains the person who walks up to the device. The transition is harder than you expected. Not because you miss the adrenaline, because you understand that the quality of your work in this building directly determines whether the person downrange lives or dies. And you can't be there to catch their mistakes. You build training programs, you study every incident report from every ED call-out in the past 2 years, you identify the patterns. Where technicians hesitate, where they rush, where the training gap shows up in the field. You fix the training gap before the field finds it. You have a technician named Rodriguez who reminds you of your youngest kid from the Iraq deployment, same aptitude, same overconfidence. You run him through the same progression, it works. It mostly works. One call-out in Germany goes wrong. Not one of yours, another team. The device was a category they hadn't seen before in that configuration. The technician did everything correctly per protocol. The protocol didn't account for the configuration. You attend the memorial, you update the training, you write the incident analysis. You send it to every EOD unit in the Army. That's what you do with it. That's the only thing you can do with it. Level 6, the Warrant Officer. You're 38. You commissioned as a Warrant Officer, you're the technical expert now. The person commanders call when the situation is outside standard protocol. This happens more than you'd think. The world generates new device types faster than doctrine can document them. Commercial technology creates new trigger mechanisms. Adversaries study ED responses and modify their construction. You are in a permanent race with people who are specifically trying to defeat you. You consult on cases that don't fit the manual. You work with the intelligence community on device attribution, identifying who built a device based on construction signature. It's forensic work applied to live ordnance. You become very good at it. You testified before a Senate Armed Services Subcommittee about IED threats to domestic infrastructure. You answer questions from senators who have read briefing papers and from senators who have not. You answer both with the same precision. Claire runs the household, she has for years. She doesn't complain about this in a way that makes you feel better about it, which would be easier. She complains about it accurately, which means you can't dismiss it. You work on it, you get better, not as fast as she deserves, faster than you were. Your daughter is 11, she wants to be a veterinarian. You tell her that sounds like important work. You mean it more than she knows. Level 7, the EOD Group Commander. You're 45. Colonel, you command the EOD Group. 800 technicians across multiple battalions. You don't run callouts anymore. You shape the force that runs them. Doctrine, training standards, equipment acquisition. The next generation of tools that will give your technicians better options than you had. You fight budget battles, you argue for resources in language that bureaucracies understand, risk reduction, force protection, operational enablement. The technicians in your group don't know about these battles. They shouldn't have to. Your job is to make sure they have everything they need and they never find out what it costs to get it. A technician in your group is killed in action in Syria. You write the letter. You have written 8 of these letters across your career. Each one takes 3 hours. Each one is the hardest thing you do in whatever year it happens. You give the eulogy. You say what you can say in a room full of family members who need to hear that their person mattered and their person's death meant something. You believe what you say. That's the only way you can say it. You go back to work. Level 8, the Last Callout. You're 48. You're in your office at Fort Belvoir when your phone rings. Domestic device, credible threat at a federal courthouse in Alexandria. Your team is rolling, you're the senior EOD officer in the region, you could stay at the desk. Nobody would question it. You get in the car. You're not suiting up, you're not walking the approach, you're the commander on scene, coordinating, managing the response. But you need to be there. You've needed to be there every time for 24 years and that hasn't changed. The device is real. The team renders it safe in 40 minutes. Clean procedure, nobody gets hurt. The courthouse opens 3 hours late. It makes the local news for one day. The technicians' names are not in the coverage. Yours isn't either. You drive back to Fort Belvoir. You write the after-action report. You put in your retirement papers the following week. Not because of this call-out. Because of the meeting you had the day before with a 23-year-old lieutenant who is going to be exceptional and who reminded you that the force doesn't need you holding the door open anymore. It needs you to let go of the door so it can close and the next person can open it from the other side. You sign the papers, you go home. Claire is in the kitchen. Your daughter is in college now. The house is quiet in a way it hasn't been in years. She asks how it went today. You tell her about the courthouse. About the team, about the 23-year-old lieutenant. She listens. She has been listening to versions of this for 20 years. You're 48. You walked toward things your whole career that everyone else walked away from. You did it correctly enough times that you're sitting in your kitchen telling your wife about it. That's the whole job, walk toward it. Do it correctly, come home. You did that. 24 years of doing that. It's enough.